Hello everyone. Today we are going to dehydrate frozen berries. I bought this Great Value Cherry Berry Blend. So it's actually berries and cherries. It's got strawberries, blueberries, pitted dark sweet cherries, and pitted red tart cherries. And so I'm going to just say that first of all, I went ahead and I thawed these. You can just do things frozen, but then they take longer to dehydrate. And these are very, very juicy, so I expect that they'll take a while as is. Now, I'm setting things up a little bit differently because these are so juicy, they're going to be kind of messy. So what I did is I have one tray where I've put this plastic tray on top. And so that's like a fruit leather tray. I'm not going to actually put the berries on that, but I wanted it on the bottom so that when juice drips through, it won't make a huge mess. So that's how I'm starting off. And that's also why I'm using this spoon. Okay, so I bought this berry mix, just to give you some perspective, for $8.74, I believe it was. And so from a cost perspective, it's a pretty good price, you know, because berries tend to be expensive. And so I think that it's a pretty good value. Also, you can get them year round. You don't have to worry about it being the right season or that type of thing. When you want to dehydrate these, you can get them any time of year. And so that's kind of nice. Now see, this strawberry here is kind of big. So I'm just going to use my spoon to kind of cut it a little smaller. Same with this one here. Okay, and I've got a big strawberry there. So I'm just I was going to cut them ahead of time, but they're so juicy and so messy that I think that this is an easier way to do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another tray on. So an advantage to buying these frozen berries instead of buying them fresh is, like I mentioned, cost. I think it's a little bit more cost effective to buy the frozen ones. And also, you can get them any season. And then also, they are already processed. So for example, these cherries are pitted already. Another thing is when you dehydrate like fresh blueberries, as an example, you have to blanch them, and you know, I think I'll look it up. It's been a while since I looked at it, but I believe that you have to do something to make sure the skin is split, or else it can be a problem. And when you're using frozen berries, you don't have to worry about that. So bottom line is, a lot of the work has already been done for you. Now, needless to say, when I thawed these, they're all kind of mushy, but that's not going to matter since they're going to be dehydrated anyway. Okay, so I've got 2 trays so far. Here's the third one. And I'm not wanting to overlap them too much. So I'm sure I'll do, I don't know, we'll see if I need more than 3 trays, but I think that these 3 trays are going to do it. And I don't know if you noticed or if I mentioned, but it's a 3-pound bag. So it's a, you know, decent amount. It'll of course dehydrate down really small. You can see how much juice there is, and I had already drained it ahead of time. So there was really a lot of juice on these. So from that perspective, I suspect they'll take quite a bit of time to dehydrate. But this is a great way to add berries to your food storage and, you know, have a variety. You could actually do this with other foods as well. All right. Okay, so we ended up with 3 trays, and I am using the Nesco dehydrator, food and jerky dehydrator, and it has different temperatures on it. And so It says over here, fruits and vegetables 135 degrees, so I have it set at 135. As soon as I plug it in, it starts. So it's got going now. I'll check it in a few hours and let you see what it's like. I know it's not going to be ready at that time, but I'll give you a view of what it looks like at that time. See you in just a bit. Okay, it's been going for about 3 hours, so I'm going to unplug it and then check and see what it looks like. Okay, as suspected, it's still extremely moist, but I didn't expect anything different. But you can see how they're starting to kind of shrivel up, and they smell absolutely delicious. So I'm going to bring you back in about 3 more hours, but most likely I'll end up keeping this running overnight. See you in a bit. Hello everyone. The dehydrator has been going for about 6 hours now. So let's take a look and see what things are looking like. I'm going to unplug the dehydrator and take the lid off. Okay, now you can see obviously like these are super wet. They're still very moist. But you can see how things are shriveling and shrinking up some. And I have to tell you honestly, I don't think I've ever had anything that I'm dehydrating smell this good. I think it's the cherries that are smelling so good. That's also what is really big and plump. So I can already tell that I'm going to end up leaving this overnight and checking it in the morning, and I'll bring you back then. Hello everyone, it is now the next morning, and you can see that the cherries are still very plump, but certain things like strawberries and some of the other smaller berries are completely dry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick off anything that is completely dry and just put it in a jar. I'm going to do that with each of the trays just to go ahead and get off the dry ones. So hopefully that'll help the ones that are not dry a little bit faster. So I will bring you back in just a few more hours, and show you where things stand. But I actually think that these cherries, because if you could feel them, you would see they're still very moist, that they're going to take probably all day to dry. But we'll get rid of or take off the little, which I think are the blueberries, are the ones that are dry already, and some of them are not even completely dry. So there's some strawberries and so on. So I'll be back later to show you what's left, what I've taken off, and what's left. Hello everyone, it is actually now the next morning, and so this dehydrator has been running about 40 hours. I unplugged it here and there, but for the most part it's kept going for about 40 hours. I'm going to unplug it now and show you where we're at with things. Over time, I kept removing items that were dry, berries and cherries and things like that were dry, actually mostly berries, and put them into this pint jar. And you can see that all of the trays, except for the top one, are empty. You can also see, remember I put in the bottom tray, I put this solid fruit leather tray to catch juices, and it's good that I did, because you can see the mess there. But it ended up with the cherries obviously took longer, and because they're big, they were really big and very juicy, and so those took a long period of time. Now, one thing that I want to say about this is that this has got to be the best tasting, one of the best tasting things that I have done. So it took a long time. It's going to fill up slightly more than a pint, And what I plan to do, because I don't want to just put all these, you know, cherries on top here, because I don't want to have just one thing. I want them to be mixed. So I'm going to put them in a bowl and just toss them. But most likely this actually ended up drying sometime in the middle of the night. It was still a little bit plump, some of them, when I went to bed last night, and that's why I let it keep going. So technically it probably took less than 40 hours. And again, I tend to be cautious. I'd like to make sure things are good and dry. But this would not be a quick process. So if you're looking at doing this, just know that it could take a long time to dehydrate, especially the cherries. Now, if you bought just a bag of frozen blueberries, I think they would take a lot less time. And but I'm looking forward to the cherries. I think they're going to be delicious. And I did snack a little bit on these. I took some here and there, and they were actually just delicious. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you would like the video, and of course, as always, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the notification bell. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.